I can still picture the shock frozen on Marlene's face when those handcuffs snapped shut around her wrists, but that's getting ahead of the story. Let me take you back to where it all began, a flawless Sunday morning. The sky was clear, the sun sharp, and I had just stepped out to admire the results of 3 hours of meticulous work. My crimson Corvette looked like liquid fire under the sunlight, every curve gleaming like it had just rolled off the showroom floor. That's when I saw her, marching toward me like a storm in human form. Arms rigid, mouth pinched, and that unmistakable frown she wore like armor. She stopped directly between me and my car, blocking the view like some self-appointed authority. "I need the keys to that vehicle," she snapped, her voice sharp and commanding like she expected immediate compliance. I blinked at her, unsure whether to laugh or be concerned. "Marlene, what are you even saying?" I asked, trying to stay composed. "That's my brother's Corvette," she insisted, raising her chin and narrowing her eyes. "I don't know how it ended up here, but unless you want the police involved, you'll give me the keys right now." She held out her hand, like she thought I'd just hand it over without question. An hour later, the police did show up, but not for me. I'd only been living in Maple Crest for 3 months. After years of budgeting and grinding through overtime, I'd finally settled into the dream, a quiet, upscale neighborhood, and the dream car to match. That Corvette Stingray was more than a car. It was a milestone, a promise I made to myself when I was still young and hungry, flipping through motor magazines by flashlight. What I didn't expect was how that car would immediately put me on the radar of the neighborhood's self-declared ruler, Marlene Grayson, head of the local homeowners committee, and a woman who seemed personally offended by the sight of my sports car. From the first day, she made it clear she had opinions. First came the friendly notes taped to my door, thinly veiled criticisms wrapped in faux politeness. Then came the direct remarks. "Don't you think that color is a bit much?" she'd say sweetly, her smile brittle and her tone anything but kind. "Most of us here prefer something a little less aggressive." I always responded with a courteous nod, even as I quietly counted how many times I could fire up the engine without crossing any noise thresholds. But she escalated. Soon my windshield became her personal bulletin board. Fluorescent citations appeared regularly. Violation, excessive vehicle flashiness. Another one read, disturbing the neighborhood's visual harmony. I pored over the association's handbook. Nothing prohibited car color or make, just rules about blocking driveways and keeping vehicles clean. At the next board meeting, I brought this up. Marlene just waved me off and said, "The committee has discretion to interpret policy in the interest of community peace." Things really took a turn after I upgraded my exhaust system. I made sure it stayed under decibel limits, even when with a brand known for subtlety. But the moment Marlene heard the deeper tone, I caught her out front the next morning, snapping photos like a private investigator. When I confronted her, she rang my bell furiously. "This is a noise violation," she declared when I opened the door. "If that exhaust isn't removed in 2 days, I'll have it towed." I calmly explained I had reviewed local noise laws and made sure the upgrade was well within compliance. "This isn't about city code," she said, leaning in, voice low and cold. "This is about our rules. And as chair, I decide what's acceptable." That was the moment I knew I needed to protect myself. That night, I installed a motion-activated security camera focused directly on my driveway. It was a smart move. In the weeks that followed, she ramped things up. She emailed the entire neighborhood accusing unnamed residents of lowering the community's standards with their garish vehicle choices. She even called for a surprise committee meeting to push for a new regulation banning cars with excessively bold appearances, a rule that would only apply to one person. The board didn't bite, but she wasn't done. One Saturday, I caught her kneeling beside my car, measuring the distance from my bumper to the curb with a tape measure. When I stepped outside, she looked up and smiled. "Routine checks," she said, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. "Someone has to make sure we're upholding standards." The next day, I found a note taped to my door accusing my car of leaking oil onto the driveway. Another lie. My driveway was spotless, which I documented with timestamps and photos. Then came that Sunday. I was outside again, basking in the morning warmth, buffing the final section of the hood, when Marlene approached. This time she didn't knock. She stormed across the street, like she was marching into battle. A few neighbors glanced over, sensing something was brewing. She positioned herself between me and the Corvette again, arms folded, eyes blazing. "I'm done with your lies," she shouted. "That's my brother's car and I want it back." Her voice cracked, not with sadness, but with manufactured drama. It was the kind of performance that might have fooled someone less familiar with her patterns. But I just stared, stunned. "Marlene, what are you even talking about?" I said slowly, "This car was bought new. I've got the paperwork. It's been mine for years." "Liar," she screamed. "Same year, same model, Robert's Corvette. You stole it." And that's when the officers showed up. Only they weren't there for me. They were responding to a trespassing and harassment report, * mine star. Thanks to the camera footage, the pile of false claims, and her increasingly erratic behavior, the truth was undeniable. After a brief conversation, they placed her under arrest. Marlene's jaw fell open as they led her away in handcuffs, protesting that she was just trying to uphold neighborhood standards. I just stood there, watching the sunlight glint off the hood of my car, as calm as the morning I started it all. He died just last month, and now his car has vanished in the garage. Those were her opening words, delivered with a sharp jab of her finger at the license plate frame. "That's the exact frame my brother had. You stole that car, and I'm going to prove it." By that point, a small crowd of neighbors had wandered closer, phones subtly raised, recording the whole thing. I exhaled slowly, trying to keep my voice even. "I'm sorry for your loss, Karen, but this is my vehicle. I have every bit of paperwork to prove it." As I reached into my pocket for my phone, she suddenly lunged at me, her hand clawing for my keys. "Give them to me," she barked, face twisted in fury. "That car belongs to my family." I stepped back quickly, holding the keys away. Her rage only escalated. "You're a crook, a thief who moved in here thinking no one would notice." I didn't flinch. "I'm calling the police," I said, standing firm. "This has gone far enough." But she gave a cruel little smile. "I already did," she said with satisfaction. "I told them you were stealing my brother's car. They'll be here any second to take you in and tow that car." And almost on cue, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. 2 police cruisers pulled up moments later, and 3 officers stepped out, assessing the scene with puzzled expressions. Karen rushed to them immediately, pointing straight at me and my Corvette. "That's him," she cried, tears suddenly streaming down her cheeks. "He stole my brother's car. I have the spare key and the original documents at home. He must have broken in and hotwired it." The lead officer, calm and methodical, gestured for us to stay apart while they investigated. "Sir, do you have proof that this car belongs to you?" "Absolutely," I answered, unlocking my phone and pulling up my digital glove box. "I've got the title, registration, insurance, and purchase agreement, all with my name." She reviewed everything on my phone, then asked for the hard copies. I went inside and returned with the physical paperwork, including the original sale documents from the dealership. While I provided everything they asked for, Karen grew more agitated by the minute. "These are fake," she snapped. "He probably photoshopped his name over my brother's documents." "Check the VIN. Go ahead. That'll prove I'm right." The officers did just that. The VIN matched everything I'd said. The car had been registered to me for over 3 years. One officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, do you have anything that proves your brother owned this car?" Her confident expression wavered. "I don't have the paperwork on me," she stammered, "but I can show you pictures. He had the same car, same model, same paint, everything." "Even if your brother had a similar car," the officer replied, "that doesn't mean this is it. All documents confirm this vehicle is legally his." Her face turned scarlet. "You're not listening," she yelled. "He's manipulated everything. That's our car, and I want him arrested." Without warning, she lunged again, this time aiming for my pocket. She managed to grab the edge and tore it slightly in the process. That was enough. The officers stepped in. "Ma'am, you need to calm down," the lead officer warned. But she was beyond reason. "You're all useless," she screamed, thrashing as they held her back. That's my brother's car. I'm the HOA president, and you need to do your job. When she twisted loose and tried again, catching the side of my pants, they restrained her fully and slapped on handcuffs. Karen Westfield, the lead officer said, her tone steady, "You're under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted theft, and assault." The look on Karen's face was unforgettable, pure disbelief. "This is insane," she sputtered. "You can't arrest me. I'm the president of Oakwood Estates. I was protecting my property." Later, I found out the fallout was swift. She was officially charged that afternoon. Between the footage neighbors recorded and multiple witness statements, the case against her was solid. An investigation followed and revealed the most shocking part. There was no brother. No Robert. She'd made him up completely. Her bail was set at $25,000, and a restraining order was issued preventing her from coming within 100 feet of me or my property. She was removed as HOA president that same week after an emergency vote by the board. Her job at a well-known real estate firm, one that bragged about ethics, placed her on unpaid leave pending the trial. The incident made local news, complete with video clips of her screaming, "That's my Corvette," as she was loaded into the back of a cruiser. Her professional reputation crumbled. At sentencing 3 months later, her high-priced lawyer tried to argue temporary emotional instability, but the judge wasn't moved. Karen was sentenced to 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, and fined $5,000, not including court fees. When the bailiff led her away, her face was still frozen in disbelief, as if she'd only just realized that consequences were real, and they were hers to face.